Hello everyone and welcome back to JAS Reviews. My name is James and on this channel I do reviews of both music and movies along with the occasional commentary piece, so if any of that sounds interesting to you then please be sure to give this video a like and to subscribe to my channel to see more content like that. And we are nearing the end of another year, one that has admittedly not been a favorite of mine. Lots of personal events stacked up to this year, with it not being the most fun in the world to deal with, but even in the midst of tough times, I did find solace in plenty of great music and movies that came out this year. And with that, we get to a part of the year that is always very exciting for me, December and list season. Man, I love when I get to the end of the year and I get to talk about what impacted me in the world of the arts, specifically with music and movies. It's always so fun to just get to reflect on the best things that the year gave and the worst things that the year gave. And here we have the first list. I am going to be discussing the top 10 best hit songs of 2024. And I think this is the list that I have the most fun making. The Billboard Hot 100 is something that I don't always have the best relationship with, especially in the midst of perplexing choices that they make about how they chart hit songs for a given year. One of the most perplexing that they have more recently made is ending off a given Billboard year in late October. I have never particularly cared to have any hardline rules about what constitutes a hit song in the first place anyway. If you've seen my previous hit songs videos from past years, you'll know that I don't have any super hard set rules about what I think makes a hit song. The only rule that I really care about is if a song charts on the Billboard for about 2 to 3-ish weeks, I would say, then to me that makes it a hit because it was on the Hot 100 at some point and it did at least seem to resonate with a decent amount of people, so therefore in my mind it is a hit song. If it does that, I feel like it's fair game. Even with these silly new rules being implemented by the Billboard, even with those being the case, this year still had a lot of my favorite hits happening to be ones that did very well consistently this year, with a lot of them being ones that ended up in the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 at some point and their runtime on it. And I think that is the marking of one of the better Billboard years we've had in recent memory, at least in terms of the big hits that most people know. This year boasted perhaps the best year for women in pop in recent memory, and you'll see several of those in my top 10 as well as my honorable mentions. There was also another rather interesting trend this year too, the surprising consistent popularity of diss tracks. We saw the likes of Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Future, and more get involved in this, and it led to somewhat wild results, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. Continuing from last year, we saw the domination of country and TikTok still having a major influence on what won big in the Billboard. Now, with all that preamble out of the way, let's not waste any more time and get started. This is my list of the top 10 best hit songs of 2024. And please keep in mind as we move forward with this list that this is just my opinion, so if you see something that is missing or you see a placement that you don't agree with, that is fine. And in fact, I would be curious to know after you've gotten done with watching this video, what were your favorite songs of the year, your favorite hit songs to be more specific? Go ahead and let me know it down in the comments. But let's go ahead and get started with number 10 on my list.
We can't be friends, but I'd like to just pretend.
And fittingly, since we're talking about a year that is dominated by pop stars, we get started with one that is one of the bigger out there, and Ariana Grande, and with her hit song, We Can't Be Friends, Wait for Your Love. This year showed people having rather contentious relationships with some of our biggest pop stars, both veteran and up-and-coming. Ariana Grande was one of the most obvious examples of this. Coming off of major allegations of being a homewrecker in her relationship with Ethan Slater, people were very quick to label her as the villain. I'm still not entirely sure where my opinion lies on that at this moment, but I think her album this year, while flawed, provided a more nuanced insight into what actually happened. Enter We Can't Be Friends, which I think can be interpreted in multiple ways. On one hand, it could simply be about what it seems to be on the surface level, a love that Ariana has for another, and it is not reciprocated by the other person that she's interested in. But she just can't be friends with them, that's too complicated in her mind, so she'll wait until they can love her. And yeah, that is one interpretation, but I do think there's an even more interesting interpretation, which might be that the song is about her discussing her relationship with her fan base or even the media. She seems to believe that both fall in and out of love with her as a personality over and over again. So right now, she waits hopefully for them to love her again, even if it may not actually happen. I think this is a pretty interesting subject and gives a bittersweet insight into Ariana's state of mind. The backing musicality reflects this with some immaculately produced synth work that gives off Europop influences along with some gorgeous strings. I also love the multiple layerings of Ariana's vocals in the chorus. It really still shows her to be one of the most talented pop vocalists right now. And speaking of the chorus, it is irresistibly catchy and will have you singing along pretty quickly. This is a strongly done song that has stayed in my rotation all year long.
Birds of a feather, we should stick together. I know I said I'd never think
At number 9 is Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. And you can expect to see Billie Eilish not only in this list, but in my top 50 best songs of the year list as well, though not with this song specifically, but instead a different one. The album Hit Me Hard and Soft is, for my money, one of the best releases we got this year. Billie only continues to hone and improve in her craft as she gets older. I really enjoyed both of her past two albums, but I think this one is the best release she's given us yet. The album showed Billie's real maturity and internal understanding of relationships and the role that she plays in them, as well as what she desires to get out of them. This is done in the album in ways that can be clever, heartbreaking, haunting, and yes, even hopeful, which isn't a typical emotion that Billie will have throughout a given album. The latter feeling, in my opinion, comes through most prominently in this song, Birds of a Feather. It put a smile on my face to hear Billie be more hopeful about a relationship, but still delivering that message in a way that felt like her signature. The song gets you right into the feeling with the jingling keyboard notes and 90s influenced synths. The song embraces lyricism that feels melodramatic, but still incredibly genuine, as Billie emphasized that she wants to be in love with this particular person in the song until she dies. One is easily convinced of this sentiment through the incredible vocal delivery in the song, with her belting out vocals in increasingly impressive ways near the end. The song has a nostalgic feeling to it, while still staying fresh each time I hear it. The song is unashamed of being a love song to the core, and I can't help but appreciate it for that fact.
Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jack Daniels got a history. There's a party downtown.
This song has absolutely dominated the Billboard this year, staying on top at the number 1 spot specifically for weeks on end. In fact, it's still at number 1 at the time that I am recording this video. It has broken records, and for me, I can understand why. In every aspect that I can think of, this song is a crowd pleaser. Even for those who aren't necessarily the biggest of country fans, I think this track has an accessibility to it that people can enjoy. Having a stomp clap chorus where everyone is united together enjoying having a drink or dancing is something refreshing in a year where everyone can commonly feel so divided. I also think the more subtle lyrical elements of the song help to make it feel even more relatable to the common person. Shaboozey discusses working class struggles, of the fact that the 9-to-5 job he works doesn't help with getting the loved ones what he feels like they deserve, so he's going to go to the bar and try and forget his struggles along with everyone else. This brings a bit of a dark edge to the song, but I think it would be wrong to say that the song is entirely hopeless. Shaboozey is still able to find solace in sharing these struggles with others, and even getting the opportunity to sing along with them and dance the night away. Musically, this song is easily one of the most fun of the year, so it's easy to understand why it's been so successful. Like I've already mentioned, the stomp clap chorus is irresistible, and I think it would absolutely go off on the dance floor. Shaboozey's excellent voice with a slight country twang confidently works against a well-implemented fiddle and strong guitar work. It's nice to have a song out there that I think most people can genuinely like for its good time vibes, and I thankfully can count myself among that crowd.
Take my whiskey and leave my coffee black in my bed at 3.
I think it would be slightly unfair to call Hozier a one-hit wonder. He is most definitely known for his song Take Me to Church, but it's not like he faded into obscurity after that. He has continued to keep a very loyal and respectable fan base who have been highly attentive to his musical career. While I wouldn't say he's one of my favorite artists out there, I've always been interested to see how he would evolve his blues rock sound next. I'm not sure anyone expected him to hit it quite so big this year with the song Too Sweet, but enough of the song's elements hit a sweet spot, pun completely intended, so this song continued to stay on the Hot 100 all year long, and perhaps, maybe even be more known in the cultural consciousness than Take Me to Church was. I'm not going to complain about that at all, as I would say that this is probably one of my favorite Hozier songs to date. I love the wry sense of humor the song has, as he talks about this girl who is the stark opposite of him and likes to have a life with discipline and structure. Hozier, on the other hand, doesn't really care much about this stuff and would rather live more loose and free. In the process, he encourages her to join along, and I think the song implies that maybe she is interested in doing so, which adds a greater sense of fun to it. The sultry guitar riff and jazz-influenced drum patterns, aligned with Hozier's swaggering vocal performance, only serve to add to the effect and make this song one that feels as intoxicating as the lyrics. I can't help but fully buy into the vibe of this song. Even if I'm not the type that loves whiskey or drinking my coffee black, heck, I don't really drink coffee at all, it's still easy to understand why Hozier does.
Yeah, 360. When you're in the mirror, do you like what you see? When you're in the mirror, you're just looking at me. I'm everywhere, I'm so...
I think most people who paid attention to pop music this year were at least somewhat aware of the Brat Summer phenomenon that occurred with the release of Charli XCX's album Brat. While Charli isn't an underground artist by any means, like Hozier, she's always sort of been on the outskirts of popularity with the music she creates. Not the case this year, though. I think most of Brat's success can be attributed to the social media firestorm it created, with many of its songs' beats and lyrics being instantly accessible for TikTok trends. And like I've said in the past, I don't always think that TikTok trend songs are bad, and this is the case for these because I also don't feel like they were just built for TikTok, they just so happen to work very well for that app. And that brings us to one of the most obvious examples of this in the song 360. The simple but catchy club beat in this song is one that'll instantly get your head nodding along. It's an undeniable tune that makes one instantly understand why this song caught on so quickly. Pushing it forward even more is Charli herself. No one can deny that she's being a bit arrogant here, but that is entirely the point. The song has Charli confidently painting herself as the it girl. She positions herself as a primary influencer in the club scene, and that many other people are simply copying her sound. She also references other women who are important to the scene she is in, such as Julia Fox, Gabriette, and A.G. Cook. In many ways, this song feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Brat and this song in particular became a big part of the culture this year, and I was certainly excited to witness it happen. I was happy to witness it happening. While I could see some being turned off at the cockiness of the song, it works for me because there is a certain self-awareness to it. And in context of the album, it works even better and still serves as a major highlight. This song feels like it was meant to be a hit, and I'm glad that turned out to be the case.
How lucky are we? It's been a hell of a week. We're all grown now.
Zach Bryan continues to impress me with how well he is able to craft songs that you are just completely immersed into the feeling that they give you. It always feels raw and real to a degree that can almost make you feel uncomfortable. But Zach manages to live in those unfiltered moments in a powerful way that just makes him stand out more prominently. While I still like I Remember Everything more, this song definitely holds its own. Zach lays out in frank detail how he has never felt completely loved, whether due to internal or external factors. But through his new relationship he is finally able to be loved and to love her in turn. The blood, sweat, and tears, both literal and metaphorical, were all worth it, if it meant it was going to be getting to this point. I love in particular the lyrics, "There's smoke creeping out of the bar down the street, but we're home somehow." I feel like this is referring to Zach's continuing temptations with alcoholism, but this relationship is able to keep him from pursuing those feelings because now, this love that he has, it's all he needs. This feels like a really powerful statement to make, especially when one considers the tragedy of I Remember Everything. And musically, this song has all the hallmarks of what makes a Zach Bryan song great. The natural feeling production leads to beautiful instrumentation, with the acoustic guitar and piano particularly standing out. Zach's raw vocal performance only serves to make the emotions of the song come home and make this another one of my favorites from him. I love that he continues to push forward indie country into the mainstream without making it watered down, and I hope that we continue to see more artists in this vein coming onto the Hot 100.
I can't even buy a home in private. Home invaders got my brothers dying. Notice every car that's driving by. I think my neighbors want me dead. I got a cannon underneath.
One thing I love to see on the Billboard near the end of this year was Tyler, the Creator, getting some genuine success. I would call him one of the most interesting rappers working in the scene right now. He's not afraid to take huge swings in terms of the stylistic shifts that he attempts, and for the most part, they seem to work great for him. His superb new album Chromacopia saw him taking shifts towards psychedelic rock and jazz influences, and it made for what could possibly be my favorite album of his to date. The song made waves on the Hot 100 and is easily one of my favorites of the album. The sample it uses is implemented really well and adds to the eerie, unsettling vibe the song has throughout. Everything feels unhinged and ready to burst at the seams, which is totally fitting considering the subject matter. Here, Tyler contemplates on his relationship to paranoia, with his rise in fame serving to contribute more towards that sensation. He even seems to think that his own neighbors hate him, and gets the feeling that technology is monitoring his every move. The frantic usage of guitar riffs, along with wild drum work very well in putting the audience into Tyler's state of mind. I love how vocally Tyler's singing is tense and measured, along with the carefully crafted lyrics that deliver an intentional message to those who have a stalker-like relationship with him. He discusses how they'll sing along with his lyrics even though they don't truly know him, and instead of trying to stalk him, he sarcastically suggests that they, well, read a book instead. From front to back, this song is uncompromising and vicious, and I love that it plays up the strange factor too. Don't expect this to be the last time I talk about Tyler this year, because Chromacopia was just an excellent album, and there were so many great songs on it, so expect to see another one in my top 50 best songs of the year. But I'm glad that he made songs successful enough to be hits, because this song certainly deserved that status. Just such a great song that I love in terms of how unique it is.
You should know I need someone to hold me close, deeper than I've ever known, whose love feels like a rodeo.
As far as albums from the big pop stars went this year, Dua Lipa may not have necessarily boasted the strongest one, but it still showed why she is in the conversation for one of my favorite working in that scene right now. I still think my favorite song from Radical Optimism is definitely Houdini, but Training Season comes in a pretty close second. Whereas I would say Houdini boasts a more 90s ready sound, Training Season definitely harkens closer to what you would expect from future nostalgia. I, for one, am not complaining about that at all. Everything about this song is irresistibly addicting. You know that you are in for a treat when that solidly produced bass groove kicks in, and then Dua Lipa's undeniable vocals set the stage. Thematically, this is a pretty interesting track. Dua Lipa discusses her struggles with her dating life, and how she feels like in every relationship that she encounters, the person on the other end doesn't ever want to go as far as she does. But the chorus reveals her determination in detailing exactly what she wants, and the fact that the training season is now over. In other words, if this person cannot give her what she wants, then she'll move on. It's framed in a way that feels empowering and victorious, with the increasing urgency of the drums and synth work only serving to add to that feeling of empowerment. And man, talk about one of the catchiest choruses of the year. It has been impossible to get this song out of my head all year long. And once again, I am not complaining about that. Dua Lipa is at the top of her game here, creating something that was a memorable anthem for me and many others to sing along to all year long. I have to imagine that Chappell Roan has some rather complex feelings about this year. On one hand, she got pretty much everything she wanted and more in regards to her musical career. It exploded in a way that I think many, including her, couldn't have predicted. Her music got the right amount of virality at the right time to lead her into almost overnight superstardom and catapulted her to national conversation. But of course, in the midst of those euphoric highs, she had some major lows this year too. I feel as though many disingenuously interpreted her videos about fans who treated her toxically in public. People were quick to frame her as entitled because she wouldn't take pictures with fans, when really the conversation was much more about how she still wanted to be treated like a human being, which I think every celebrity is entitled to because they are not gods, but they are in fact human beings. She got into deeper water with the fact that she wouldn't endorse a political candidate, something else that I also feel was unfairly interpreted. Thankfully, I feel that I am firmly in the camp of really enjoying her, and I am hopeful that we will continue to see more from her in spite of the controversies she's faced, because Good Luck Babe is her best song yet, in my opinion. The song is a combination of bitterly angry and sad as Chappell Roan discusses a relationship she had where the other girl was not fully able to accept her sexuality due to societal pressures, and because of that, the relationship never felt totally genuine. Chappell sarcastically wishes her the best of luck, but underneath that anger is an undeniable lingering sadness as she plainly expresses, "You'd have to stop the world just to stop the feeling." I think this gives an insight into Chappell being mad at the world too. Not just the girl, but the world also does not allow this girl to express herself in the way that she should be allowed to. Roan's voice is just astounding in this song, hitting some incredible notes in the bridge, including that incredible high note at the end when she says, "I told you so" for the last time. It's just one of the most iconic moments of the year, and for good reason. And there's also just this beautiful incorporation of strings that marks one of the most memorable musical moments of the year. Chappell Roan really gave us something special. And she really has something special. Not only does she have the theatrical presence in her performances to make it go off live, she also has the vocal talent and the lyrical chops to make it all pay off. I really hope that she will push forward and continue to deliver great new music, because there is already so much potential here that I would love to see more of. And before I go off to my number one pick, I did want to list off some honorable mentions. This was a very good year, so I have quite a few honorable mentions in terms of what made the hits on the Billboard Hot 100. These are the songs that I did like, but just didn't quite make my list because there were songs that I enjoyed more than these, but I did still feel these songs deserved a shout out. Now, I won't be talking about these in any detail or anything like that, but I will just show little clips of them, and then I will move on to my number one pick. So yeah, here are my honorable mentions for 2024.
On that bitch, she a head case, all she do is shoot. I signed my deal up on the PJ and hopped out a parachute. I'm geeked on next week. If the world was ending, I wanna be next to you.
Oh, it's hearts on fire and crazy.
Cosplay, gangsters, fake ass accents, posted in another nigga hood like a bad bitch. I'm a big dog bitch, can't live sit.
So obsessed with your ex. I'm so obsessed with your ex.
Somebody pour me a drink, somebody bum me a smoke. I'm about to get on a buzz, I'm about to get...
I heard you're back together, and if that's true, you'll just have to.
I don't wanna lose you, baby.
And now we move on to my number one pick. And you'll notice that there's probably a certain elephant in the room I haven't mentioned in terms of diss tracks, and that's because I have been saving the best for last. And if you know diss tracks, then I'm sure you can guess what the song is. And well,
that fuck 'em up. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired?
I am sure that I am not the first, and I definitely won't be the last, to have this song ranking at number one on a best hit songs list. For this year, it will probably be a cliched pick, but I just can't blame people for putting it on their lists, as this song left an undeniable cultural impact this year. Like I mentioned in my intro to this video, one of the bigger trends this year was diss tracks actually making waves on the Billboard Hot 100. Nowhere was this more apparent than in the rap beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, which started off as pretty lighthearted but very quickly got darker and more serious as more songs came out. Kendrick laid down the most brutal blow with Meet the Grams, a song which alleged some very serious things about Drake that should not be taken lightly by any means. That song is very memorable for how haunting and damning it is, and honestly, Kendrick could have left it there and he would have had a decisive victory over Drake. But he didn't. Instead, he came out with this song, a wild banger that seemed to serve as a way to dance on Drake's grave. And man, if it wasn't obvious he'd won before, it certainly was now. This song became a huge and clear hit, with massive crowd after massive crowd shouting along with it. There are some nasty lines on here that I think are not going to be forgotten anytime soon, only exacerbated more by Kendrick's uncompromising, vicious delivery. Mustard's expertly produced beat makes this song an absolute banger that will go off in any setting. While I think there are a lot of iconic lines in this song, my favorite part of the song is actually where Kendrick talks about how Drake uses other rappers to get himself up on an undeserved pedestal in the culture. The fact that it all concludes with Kendrick exclaiming, "You're not a colleague, you're a colonizer," just left my mouth hanging open in shock the first time I heard it. The catchiness of the song makes it one that is easy to latch onto. There's definitely a part of me that, I have to admit, feels a little uncomfortable at the fact that this song is an upbeat banger, considering its very serious subject matter and what it alleges. But honestly, I feel like that is part of the point. Kendrick made a big hit like this just to show us that he could, and that in itself is an impressive flex. Not only is this the best hit song of the year, it also happens to be one of the best songs of 2024 that I have heard, without a doubt. And with that, we come to the end of my list of the top 10 best hit songs of 2024. What were your favorite songs of this year? Please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm always interested to hear what other people thought the best that this year had to offer was. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Once again, my name is James, and I do reviews of both music and movies, along with the occasional commentary piece, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channels for more content like that. And list season is far from over. Next up, we've got one that I both love and dread, and that is talking about the top 15 worst songs of 2024. So it will be time to take out the much chagrined garbage next time. But until then, I will see you all in the next video.